You're watching The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening. I'm Lori Tucker in for Bo Williams, and welcome to The 7. Let's get a look at the Big 7 stories. Right now, an expelled lawmaker's return to the state capitol is at the top of that list. It brings the Tennessee 3 controversy full circle.
Power to the people. Power to the people. Power to the people. Yes.
Representative Justin Pearson breaking out in song, as you heard, as he signed documents in front of the Capitol steps, officially rejoining the Tennessee House of Representatives. Yesterday, the Shelby County Commission voted unanimously to appoint Pearson back to his seat on an interim basis ahead of a special election. It's the same move taken Monday by Nashville Metro Council for another expelled Democrat, Representative Justin Jones. Both were expelled last week by fellow House members for breaking rules of decorum in a protest calling for action on gun control. Knoxville Democrat Gloria Johnson faced an expulsion resolution but kept her seat by just one vote. Pearson saying today to supporters that never quitting in their efforts would bring results, and he cited the experience of the Tennessee 3 as evidence.
Representative Pearson, how do you know? Because it was just 1 week ago that we sat in the State House on the well of democracy and were persecuted. We're called out of our names. We're talked down to and talked about. We're told we didn't understand democracy. We didn't understand our responsibility. Told we didn't belong here. But today, just a week later, there's resurrection that's been promised to a persecuted people.
Our state capitol newsroom reporter Chris O'Brien asked the two renewed legislators if they had a message for Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton.
Resign.
Representative Pearson, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, he needs to resign, and he needs to stop all this anti-democratic behavior that led to the expulsion of myself and Representative Jones. The systems of injustice in this state are being led by Cameron Sexton and by the Republican supermajority of this state, and we are all worse off because of it. White folks, black folks, rich folks, poor folks.
Yeah, no.
So let me respond to that. I want y'all to be aware that while we were honoring the heroes who stopped further casualties at Covenant School, they chose to hang outside and honor themselves.
The Senate is scheduled for session every day next week and possibly one next Saturday with the intention of closing the calendar for the year. Meanwhile, a group of Senate Democrats in Washington has asked the Justice Department to look into last week's expulsion votes. Our sister station in Nashville got this response from Tennessee Republican leadership.
If they want to come down here and take a look, we welcome.
I have one response to that. In the U.S. Senate, I'm curious what would happen if someone stepped into the well of the U.S. Senate with a bullhorn and began yelling at one another, especially if it was senators. I have a feeling I know what would happen. They would immediately be arrested and hauled out of the U.S. Senate. So before they start casting stones at us for actually following the rules in this chamber and ensuring every voice is heard, they might want to analyze what would occur if that happened in the U.S. Senate.
Senate Democrats say they want the investigation to see if Pearson and Jones's removals violated the Constitution or federal civil rights law. They delivered a letter to the Attorney General yesterday. And you heard Representative Jeremy Faison make mention of this a moment ago. Today, Nashville police, fire, medics, and the Nashville Department of Communications team were all honored for their brave actions during the Covenant School shooting. Nashville Police Chief John Drake spoke highly of all of those involved in each department.
After Uvalde, we would go in. We would not wait, and these officers went in immediately. There's a lot of heroes standing here today, but this all signifies the one team that we are. Department of Communications, the Nashville Fire Department, and the Police Department trying to keep Nashville and Tennessee safe.
Chief Drake's speech was met with a wave of applause, as you see there. Also, we learned today about plans to reopen Covenant School, site of the deadly attack where 3 students and 3 adults were killed in Nashville. The school will reopen on a limited schedule next Tuesday, the 18th. For the time being, they won't be returning to their normal building, but instead to a church in a neighboring community. Our next Big 7 story at 7. Will lawmakers pass the gun bill coming out of that tragedy? Tennessee Governor Bill Lee called for measures to keep people who are a danger to themselves or others from having access to guns. And he wants the measure to also uphold due process and the Second Amendment right to bear arms. Our Nashville sister station sent a note to every Republican state lawmaker asking who is drafting that order of protection law. They did not get a clear answer from anyone. And when asked if they would support that type of bill, lawmakers saying they won't respond to a bill they haven't yet seen.
There's no legislation. There's nothing for me to directly comment on because there's no language. There's no legislation.
As you just heard, the legislative session is expected to end in a matter of weeks. In a statement, Speaker Sexton said, quote, "We are aware of several members who are drafting legislation on this issue, but haven't seen the language yet." Our next big story in the 7 brings us back to Knoxville, where Knox County Planning Commission has approved the rezoning for South High Senior Living. It passed 11-2. The facility can now be bought by the McNabb Center, and if the purchase is successful, the building will be turned into a rehab facility. People living there now showed up at today's meeting saying they were told the vote would fail, some feeling betrayed and lied to. 48 of them are now trying to find new places to live.
There is a need for drug rehab. I understand that. You know, they said 1 out of 5 families are affected by drugs. Now it's 1 out of 3 are affected by drugs. Well, how many families are affected by having senior citizens? You know, I would think all of them. You know, sooner or later, people are going to get old and need somewhere to go.
It really does present a great opportunity for Knoxville and Knox County. When we move into South High, it will allow us to double our ability to serve Knoxvillians.
The next step for the McNabb Center is to present their case to City Council for final approval. Our next big story, another old high school, but this one, Rural High School, is falling to the wrecking ball. You can see from this video, demolition has begun on the old Rural High School building. Several ideas for the building were considered before demolition. According to the mayor's office, mixed-use redevelopment proposals include affordable housing and workforce development. Those were possibilities. The school opened back in 1927. It was an elementary school and junior high. It closed in 1991 because of low enrollment numbers. No word yet on what the property will be used for in the future or if it will just sit vacant. A new answer today in our next big story. Knoxville police today revealing the name of a woman killed in a crash while riding her personal electric scooter on the interstate. That collision happening yesterday morning on Pellissippi Parkway near the North Shore exit. Police now tell us 29-year-old Annette Williams of Louisville was riding a personal electric scooter in the travel lane of Pellissippi Parkway. That's when we're told she was hit by a Ford pickup truck. Williams was pronounced dead at the scene. We should note the truck's driver stayed there and has been cooperating with authorities. Moving down our Big 7 list, changes on the water. Wildlife officers want to get the word out about a new no-wake zone on a section of the Little River on Fort Loudoun Lake. That's near the Alcoa Highway Bridge and the nearby Railroad Bridge. The decision to put in that no-wake zone coming after several boating accidents in the area, including some with serious injuries and deaths.
A lot of boats are coming around a couple of different bends right there, and then you've got all these bridge pilings, and they are, unfortunately, some people are actually crashing into the bridge pilings, or visibility is kind of obstructed as you come through that area and you're not able to see other boats coming at you.
There are buoys in the areas that designate the new zone, and you can be fined for not following the rules. Knoxville firefighters say a home is a total loss after a fire this morning. Take a look at this. The first 911 call coming in around 9 a.m. about the house at the intersection of Sunrise Street and Oak Hill Avenue in North Knoxville. KFD says crews had trouble because of remodeling work done to the home. Apparently, a false wall was hiding an empty space, slowing their efforts, eventually taking more than an hour and 20 minutes to put out. Also, they had to leave the house over concerns it might collapse. We're told 8 people lived there, 2 adults and 6 kids, but no one was hurt. One dog, though, is still missing. The fire department says the house did not have working smoke detectors. Also, we heard from KFD that one firefighter had to be checked out because of a heat-related issue. That may sound strange, but KFD says with the low humidity right now, this is the first fire of the year with warmer temperatures, creating the need to keep crews cool more than in the winter months.